January 31st, 2000. A perfectly ordinary Monday morning. 88 passengers settle into their seats on Alaska Airlines Flight 261, a routine trip from Puerto Vallarta to San Francisco. They're sunburned, relaxed, carrying back souvenirs and memories from Mexican vacations. Nobody on that plane has any reason to believe they won't be home for dinner. They never made it. What brought down Flight 261 wasn't a bomb, it wasn't a terrorist, it wasn't a storm or a bird strike or a pilot's fatal error. It was something far more insidious. A tiny threaded metal rod, worn down to almost nothing, quietly failing inside the tail of the aeroplane over months, maybe years. And the people responsible for catching it had missed it again and again and again. The McDonnell Douglas MD-83 took off from Puerto Vallarta just after noon. Captaining the flight was Ted Thompson, a veteran with over 17,000 hours in the air. First Officer Bill Tansky sat beside him, experienced, steady, the kind of crew Alaska Airlines trusted completely. For the first hour, everything was routine. Passengers dozed, flight attendants moved through the cabin. The Pacific Ocean stretched endlessly below. Then, at 32,000 feet, something changed. The pilots noticed a problem with the horizontal stabilizer, the wing-like surface at the tail of the plane that controls pitch, the nose-up and nose-down movement of the aircraft. It was stuck. They couldn't trim it properly. For a pilot, that's like trying to drive a car when the steering wheel won't turn smoothly. Manageable at first, but deeply concerning.
What Thompson and Tansky didn't know, what nobody on that plane knew, was that the jackscrew, the critical metal component that controls the stabilizer's movement, had been ground down to almost nothing. The Acme nut threads that held the whole system together had worn away. Federal regulations required that mechanism to be lubricated and inspected on a strict schedule. Records would later show those intervals had been stretched far beyond what was safe. The grease had dried out, metal had ground against metal. Thread by thread, the system had been eating itself alive, and nobody had noticed. The crew declared an emergency and began diverting towards Los Angeles. They were calm, methodical, trained. They ran through checklists, coordinated with air traffic control, and attempted to troubleshoot the stabilizer. Controllers on the ground could hear their professionalism in their voices, even as the situation worsened. At 4:10 in the afternoon, the crew decided to try manually moving the stabilizer, a last-ditch effort using a different mechanical pathway. It was a calculated risk. If it worked, they might regain control. If it didn't, it didn't. The moment they attempted the maneuver, the last remaining threads on the jackscrew gave way completely. The horizontal stabilizer swung to its full nose-down position and locked there. The aircraft pitched violently forward. Flight 261 entered an almost vertical dive toward the Pacific Ocean. The crew fought with everything they had. They rolled the plane inverted, a desperate, extraordinary attempt to use the elevators in reverse and pull the nose up. For a few agonizing seconds, it almost seemed like it might work. At 4:21 p.m., Flight 261 hit the ocean near Point Mugu, California, at nearly 490 miles per hour. The impact was unsurvivable. All 88 passengers and 5 crew members were killed instantly. Recovery divers would spend weeks pulling wreckage from 700 feet of water. What they recovered told a damning story.
The jackscrew thread that should have had a minimum of 1 inch of engagement had just 0.3 inches left, barely a third of the required safety margin. And the grease that should have been there to protect it, almost entirely gone. The National Transportation Safety Board's final report pointed directly at Alaska Airlines' inadequate maintenance program and the FAA's failure to adequately oversee it. The lubrication interval had been extended from 650 flight hours to 2,550, nearly 4 times as long, without sufficient justification. A single component neglected over time had killed 83 people. The crash led to sweeping changes in aircraft maintenance regulations across the entire industry. The FAA tightened inspection requirements. Airlines were forced to re-examine how they maintained the jackscrew systems on hundreds of aircraft worldwide. Ted Thompson and Bill Tansky were posthumously praised for their extraordinary airmanship. Their final maneuver almost certainly could not have saved the plane, but it reflected the character of 2 men who never stopped fighting for the people in their care. 88 people boarded that flight expecting the most boring part of their vacation, the flight home. They trusted that every bolt had been checked, every system maintained, every regulation followed. That trust was broken long before they ever stepped on board. Flight 26 isn't just the story of a crash. It's a warning about what happens when routine becomes invisible, when the ordinary inspections, the dull paperwork, the thankless maintenance checks start to feel like bureaucracy instead of what they actually are, the thin, invisible line between the living and the dead.